You know, I have, when it comes to politics, I have friends from across the political spectrum. Just, I am a product of living in the South, and that's just the way it is. So, yes, I have a lot of friends who are on the left, but I'd have some friends who are conservative or libertarian, on the right too. And as I said, I can live with people having political differences. There are people on the left that I have differences with too. I mean, and it's a fact of life. No two people are going to think alike politically. I don't care. I don't care who you are in this day and age and in this point of life. No two people are going to think the same, and I can accept that. In fact, I'm pride myself into being able to accept that other people can have their views, and I'm not going to sit there and try to force people to change their perspective. I may want to debate them, but sometimes when you debate people, and it's always the same old debate, minds will not be changed that way. I mean, that's not exactly the way to persuade people, and that's what I want to talk about because I have, yeah, well, on Facebook yesterday and partially last night, I've been debating an old friend from college. This person is a libertarian. I'm cool with the fact that this person is a libertarian. There's no issue with this person being a libertarian, other than I disagree with libertarian economics. I just do not think that libertarian economics, for me personally, makes sense. Um, this person despises socialism. I despise economic libertarianism. Notice I said economic libertarianism because I do not put my trust in private profits and what the private sector can do once left to their own devices. You need a moderate amount of government regulation. And some people think that what I consider government oversight or regulation is too overreaching, and to each is their own. I don't favor a command economy. I mean, and some people on the left would not think I am a good socialist because I essentially believe in a mixed economy. That's always been my thing. I think that you can have a free market system, but it has to be balanced with labor unions, if when possible, worker co-ops, a regulated free market economy. You got to have public services, like universal health care, and you got to have affordable housing and things like that to protect people from the shortcomings of a capitalist system. Now, as I said, I don't look at the Soviet Union as my model. I just do not think that's practical. It's it's fundamentally not democratic, and it's just not my thing. Now, having that said, I know people who are fond of the Soviet model or the Cuban model or what is known as communism, or some people call it state capitalism. Um, it's not my thing. It's not how I operate politically. But as I said, I know people who believe in that system. They're not all bad people. Um, just like not all libertarians are bad people. I just do not I do not advocate that particular approach either. It's just how it is. And well, the thing about it is that it kind of started yesterday when the amazing atheist was announcing his candidacy the other day for president. Again, don't know if it's a parody. Don't know if he's serious. And if he's serious, I am all for the amazing atheist running for president. And if he's just bullshitting, well, it was a good commentary. It was a good commentary, and we were discussing the Amazing Atheist, and this person said, "Well, the Amazing Atheist used to be a conservative, used to be on the right," and that's not true unless you think libertarianism in itself is officially right wing. When he was younger, like the first year on YouTube, 2006, 2007, he was a libertarian. He was still a teenager, and he grew out of it, and he evolved into a mainstream liberal, and then from a mainstream liberal, somebody who was mildly to the left of Obama and mildly to the left of Clinton, or what passed for the Democrats in the last decade. Then by the time Bernie Sanders came along, he became a pretty much a Bernie bro. And Amazing Atheist is his ideology is right in line with with people like the Kyle Kalinskis and the Voshes of the world and all of these folks. So anyway, and this person suggested that the Amazing Atheist was a grifter, and a lot of these people on the left are grifters, and suggested that maybe I ought to go and follow the footsteps of Dave Rubin and become a classical liberal. Dave Rubin. Dave fucking Rubin. Oh my gosh. Dave Rubin. And let me say this. Whether it's Dave Rubin, he also suggested something like a Tim Pool. Now, as I disagree broadly with Tim Pool, but between Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, I have a little more respect for Tim Pool. Tim Pool at least shows that he's capable of independent thought, whereas Dave Rubin does not. He basically received this poorly administered information and regurgitated it back, and ends up looking very foolish. I'm not saying I think he's obviously smarter than I am. He can afford a $5 million mansion. He was smart enough to grift, and maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'll have to grift, but I won't grift because one thing I can't advocate I can't advocate a political ideology that I do not agree with, because I'm a terrible liar. I would be just a terrible liar if I did that. Because I could not convince anybody that that's me. Well, the thing about it is, Dave Rubin's a terrible liar, because Michael Figueredo, the Humanist Report, said that he doesn't think that Dave Rubin believes the way he believes, and that Dave Rubin is probably a politically moderate person and doesn't really have an ideology one way or the other, and that I can believe. But yeah, as I said, Tim Pool is less cringy than Dave Rubin. Now, Dave Rubin is a grifter, and I saw how the evolution took place, because in 2016, and somehow I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there are nuance and new context to this. In 2015, 2016, when he parted ways from the Young Turks and went on his own with his Rubin Report, he was still pretty much on the left. Pretty much 2015, 2016, kind of a Bernie bro. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and he advocated his program still kind of continued to put out the kind of content one will find on the Young Turks, one will find on the Jimmy Dore show when it was on the Young Turks, or Secular Talk, or some of these other programs, David Pakman. All of them were with the Young Turks, Majority Report. All of them at one time was one big family in the part of the Young Turks. Well, the thing about it is, the grift started to take place by, I guess, maybe late summer, fall of 2016, when he decided to vote for Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party over Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It's not quite what I would embrace, and I voted for Jill Stein. But what I'm trying to say is that I can basically understand that choice, And between Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and Gary Johnson, even though I am definitely not a libertarian, Gary Johnson would be appealing of the three. Because I did something similar in 2012. Jill Stein wasn't on the ballot in 2012 in North Carolina. I wasn't going to vote for Barack Obama. Sure as hell wasn't going to vote for Mitt Romney. And I felt like I didn't have a voice, so I thought, yeah, fuck it. I'll vote for Gary Johnson and the Libertarian Party. The only time I've ever voted Libertarian for president, by the way. Well, from that time, 2016, early 2017, all of a sudden, he ended up turning right wing. I mean, Dave Rubin ended up basically turning into, and this is going to sound bad, but I have to make a point. He ended up turning into a gay Ben Shapiro. That's basically what it came down to. And hold tight, because there's more context. Dave Rubin started to purposely not have left-wing guests on his show anymore. And all of a sudden, he was still pretending to be this open-minded, enlightened, liberal, centrist type. And he'll have Ben Shapiro on the show, and he'll have Steven Crowder on the show, and he'll be like, oh, well, I agree, and yeah, I see your point. And he'll just sit there and simp and agree with them and suck up to them. And what is so sad was the one time when, and I felt a little bit sorry for Dave Rubin. I felt a little sorry for him when he was talking to Ben Shapiro, what looked like a pleasant conversation of an ideology that I personally didn't like, but I was watching the program. I peered at the program, and they were sitting there having conversation, and Ben Shapiro is going to be polite instead of calling him a fanatical, religious, bigoted piece of shit homophobe. I'm going to say that Ben Shapiro is not quite as tolerant on the LGBTQ question as he should be. And Dave Rubin was kind of like negotiating with him. He's like, well, if I become pro-life, could you accept the relationship between me and my partner? It was something along those lines. And Ben Shapiro was basically like, these weren't his words, but this is how it was translated. It was kind of like, you disgust me. You disgust me with your filthy lifestyle. That's basically what he told. He was gay bashing Dave Rubin right in front of his face in the fucking studio right there. And I'm like, have some fucking self-respect. Good Lord. And, and again, to have Ben Shapiro on the show and act like he's the voice of reason, or to have Steven Crowder, another piece of shit, to have him on there as a voice of reason, and the one that really pissed me off was when he had Mark Levin on his show, acting like he was a voice of reason, or have Glenn Beck on the show, or some of these fuckers like that. And I'm like, no, you're not a classical liberal, Dave. You're not a classical liberal at all. You are a grifter. And and you're going on PragerU and all of that. I mean, just to sit there and to basically package, even though people like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder are relatively young or what have you, and Charlie Kirk, these motherfuckers basically spew out, vomit, diarrhea out of their mouths, Rush Limbaugh talking points in the bodies of millennials. Fuck that. Seriously, fuck that. And while he sits there and claims to be objective and a free thinker and all of that, never having anybody on the left on the show. And then some people will ask him, well, why don't you have Sam Cedar? Why don't you have David Packman? Why won't you have Kyle Kalinske? And he just went on about how much bad actors they all are, and that's why he doesn't have them on the show. And what it is Dave Rubin is smart enough to know that Sam Cedar or David Packman or Kyle Kalinske would clean out his fucking clock, and he's smart enough to know that, and that is why. And all the Rubin report is based on a lie these days. That it's supposed to be a place where you talk about the battle of ideas. No, it isn't. It's supposed to be, is basically the Rubin report is a safe space for movement conservatives. It's a safe space for basically getting hip people who espouse the ideology and talking points of shit organizations like the Heritage Foundation, or what comes out of Fox and Friends in the morning, or what comes out of Gutfeld, whatever the fuck his name is, in the evening, or what comes out of Sean Hannity, or what have you. That's what the Rubin Report is all about. It's supposed to package itself in a hip package on social media to reach out to millennials and reach out to the Z generation type and tell them, hey, it's hip to believe this way. It isn't hip. It's stupid. It is stupid. And the thing about it, when it comes to people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, how edgy are they when in 2016 those two motherfuckers supported Ted Cruz in the Republican primaries for president? That's right. They didn't support Donald Trump in the primaries. They supported Ted Cruz in the primaries. And Ted Cruz, on policy, then and now, would be worse and to the right of Donald Trump. And I have to go keep revisiting that point. Because what happened was that Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro were never Trumpers in 2016. And then in 2020, they became enthusiastic pro-Trumpers. And the thing about it is it's one thing to be a never Trumper in 2016. But the worst people around politically in the country right now are the never Trumpers of 2016 that did not vote for Donald Trump because they thought he was not conservative enough, only to, in the year 2020, be enthusiastic simps for Donald Trump because he turned out to be, on policy, more right-wing than they have ever dreamed that he would be. So they're like the worst people around. A never Trumper of 2016 that became a pro-Trump simp are the worst people around. I have no respect for such people as people who were never Trumpers in 2016 that became extremely pro-Donald Trump, rah, 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 MAGA, That's the thing right there. And what offends me the most about Dave Rubin is, again, we're going to revisit this point, that in 2016 he voted for Gary Johnson as a choice between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I get that. That, even with my bad opinion of Dave Rubin, I can still respect that because I despise Hillary Clinton myself. But he also gave a scenario around that time and said, had it been a choice between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, I would have voted for Donald Trump, he said. And I'm thinking, you going to choose Donald Trump over Bernie Sanders? I'm like, man, fuck off, Dave Rubin. You need to fuck yourself. Really, honestly. It's just horrible that somebody will, and the thing about it is, Joe Rogan will not have him back on the show because, Dave Rubin is an idiot. I mean, Dave Rubin is an idiot, and he, he's sitting there trying to talk about having no regulations or building code regulations around, and that the free market would make sure that houses and buildings would be safe? No. If we had no regulations in these building codes, we would be fucking Somalia or Haiti as far as building structures are concerned. That's exactly what would happen, you know. But Dave Rubin is just, I mean, as I said, he ain't the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. I'm gonna put it that way. He ain't the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. And to have, hold tight here. Oh, sorry about that. Let me get back to me. To have Dave Rubin be the spokesperson for the young conservative movement. That's a sad state of affairs for the conservative movement. So, anyway, I wanted to mention that because, as I said, talking about this on Facebook, just, the very idea that Dave Rubin is some kind of a free thinker, he is not. He can barely think. Anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the comment on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And until next time, I'm American Social Democracy. Peace. Class struggle now.